Asterisk, asterisk, the open door, the invisible order, and the law of love. Asterisk, asterisk. Imagine in the silence of an early morning there is an invisible order guiding everything. From the movement of the stars to the beating of your heart, from the gentle wind brushing the leaves to the thought that has just arisen in your mind, all are governed by one single law. I call it the law of love, or in other words, the law of mind. This is not a fleeting emotion, not a tender weakness, as people often think, but the sacred foundation of all forms, all life, all phenomena in the universe. When you live in harmony with this law, your life flows like a clear river. When you forget it, you feel tired, resistant, and lost. I have observed thousands of people coming to me in pain, and I realize that it is not fate that makes them suffer, but the disconnection from the law of love within their minds. They do not know that within every human being there is a center of intelligence where every image, belief, and thought is imprinted like seeds sown into the soil of the subconscious. If the seed is love, you will reap peace. If the seed is fear, you will reap confusion. The law operates as precisely as gravity, favoring no one. You cannot bargain with gravity, nor can you ask it to change. Likewise, you cannot ask the law of love to bend to your emotions. You can only adjust yourself to align with it. When your mind harmonizes with love, your subconscious becomes fertile ground, producing fruits of health, prosperity, and joy. But when you plant seeds of resentment, envy, or anxiety, you are the one drying out the soil of your soul. Pause for a moment, breathe deeply, and feel in silence there is a current flowing through you, the current of life, of love. You do not create it. You only allow it to flow through. When you resist, you feel weary. When you yield, you feel serene. This is the first sign that you are living in accordance with the law. Every time you think a kind thought, speak a gentle word, or act with goodness, you open a new channel for the law of love to flow through you. The subconscious records it, and then corresponding circumstances will come your way. Every good fortune you have ever had is not random, but the natural response of the universe to the frequency of love you emit. On the contrary, if you constantly complain, criticize, or blame, you are blocking that flow. You will find yourself drawn into resistant circumstances, for the universe only mirrors what you send out. This is not punishment, but the precise mechanism of the law of mind. When I say love others as yourself, I am not merely repeating a line from the scriptures. I am describing a formula of the mind. You cannot love others if your heart is filled with fear. You can only love to the extent that you allow yourself to be loved. Therefore, the journey of love does not begin outside, but within. You must heal the image you hold of yourself. When you see yourself as worthy of peace, the universe responds with peace. If you ask me how to feel the law of love, the answer is to be silent and observe. Observe how the universe moves, how storms never last forever, how spring always returns, how your body heals itself when you do not interfere. Everything is telling you that love is the natural order of life. You only need to stop resisting. From this moment on, remember, you do not need to search for love. You only need to stop blocking it. Love is not something you acquire. It is what you have always been. The law of love is waiting for you to align with it, to bring your life back into the harmonious rhythm of life. Let the rest of this journey take you deeper, from understanding the law to living in it, and finally becoming the very law of love that flows through you. Asterisk, asterisk, the foundation of the law. Love as a universal principle, not an emotion. Asterisk, asterisk. When I speak of love, I am not referring to the fleeting emotion that people often associate with it. I am not talking about the temporary tenderness that arises when you are treated kindly, or the affection that exists only when others please you. I am speaking of an absolute principle of the universe, a law that functions like gravity, precise and unchanging. It does not depend on your moods, nor is it swayed by the weather of emotions. It is the law of love, which is also the law of mind. Love is the force that binds every atom in the universe. It is the rhythm that moves the stars, the current that makes a flower bloom, the reason your heart keeps beating. When your mind is aligned with love, you are in harmony with the natural order of life. When you resist it with resentment, fear, or envy, you step out of that orbit and the result is imbalance. Throughout my life, I have witnessed thousands of people praying for peace, yet they do not understand that peace does not come from asking, but from aligning with the law of love. Everything you desire, health, happiness, prosperity, arises naturally from a loving state of mind, for your subconscious, like the soil, does not distinguish between good or bad seeds. It only knows to bring to life whatever you plant. If you sow thoughts of love, you will reap peace. If you sow fear, you will reap anxiety. If you sow judgment, you will reap conflict. The subconscious does not respond to your words, but to the true frequency of your emotions. Remember, the universe is never random. Every experience in your life is a reflection of your inner state of mind. If you see the world as cold, ask yourself whether you have frozen your own heart with judgment. If you see life as full of pain, ask how long it has been since you last forgave. Love is not something given when others deserve it, but an energy you choose to sustain. Someone once asked me, how can I love when I have been betrayed, insulted, or hurt? I answered, you do not love to change others. You love to remain whole within the law. When you forgive, you do it not for others, but for yourself. Because when you carry resentment, you are imprisoning yourself in the dark room of the past. The law of love does not punish. It simply mirrors the energy you send out. If you want to see change, change the source of everything, the thought within your mind. Every thought is a seed planted in the soil of the subconscious. Remember, the soil does not choose. It will grow whatever you sow. So plant beautiful thoughts, love, gratitude, compassion, and faith that life is always on your side. When you plant long enough, the soil will bloom. Love is also wisdom. It knows the difference between true kindness and weakness. A person who lives by the law of love is not blind. They know how to set boundaries clearly without hatred. They know how to say no without anger, how to walk away while keeping peace. That is the power of one who understands the law, for they know love is not comfort. It is the principle of consciousness. I want you to understand that love is not an action. It is a state of being. When you love, you do not simply express an emotion. You are adjusting your entire energy to the frequency of the source of life. You become a channel for creative power. From there, goodness naturally flows to you, not because you are lucky, but because you are in the right place of the law. On the contrary, when you choose fear or envy, you are closing the flow. Fatigue, failure, and loneliness are not enemies. They are material reflections of being out of alignment with love. And as soon as you return, everything begins to move again. Now I want you to try a small practice. Sit still, close your eyes, and whisper within, I am love in motion. I radiate love. I receive love. Repeat it until the words no longer sound like words, but become a real feeling. You will notice something miraculous. Small tensions disappear. Your breath becomes lighter, your mind clearer. That is the sign you are attuned to the law of love. Each day, spend a few minutes nurturing that feeling. Do not let your mind chase fear, for fear is only the shadow of love being blocked. When you shine light on it, the shadow fades. Love, for it is the only way to live in harmony with the structure of the universe. I want you to remember this. No circumstance is stronger than a mind full of love. When you love, you not only change yourself, you transform the entire field of energy around you. You become a point of light in the dark, and that light will guide you through every adversity. Trust the law, for it is working in you right now. Every thought you plant today will grow in the future. Sow love, and you will reap peace, health, and joy. Sow fear, and you will reap confusion, doubt, and pain. Choose the seeds you wish to plant, for the soil of the subconscious does not play. Let love become a principle of life, not an emotion. Then you will no longer pray for happiness, because you will have merged with the infinite source of it. Asterisk, asterisk, compassion. A conscious union with the sacred order. Asterisk, asterisk. Whenever I speak of compassion, many people think of it as a soft emotion, a sign of pity. But I tell you this, compassion is the expression of divine intelligence, the conscious act of a mind that has realized its connection with the whole. It is not weakness. It is the strength of deep understanding that there is only one life, one consciousness, one source of energy flowing through us all. When you see someone suffering, compassion does not invite you to pity them, it invites you to recognize yourself in them. In every soul, no matter the form, there is the same divine spark, the same source that lives within you. And when you realize that, you enter into a conscious alliance with the sacred order. You are no longer just a small individual, but a vessel through which the law of love expresses itself. I often say that compassion is the highest form of intelligence, because it does not see through the eyes of the ego, but through the vision of spirit. The ego always divides me and them, right and wrong, worthy and unworthy. Compassion erases those boundaries. It sees the fear beneath anger, the wound beneath the insult, and the child longing to be loved within the one you call an enemy. When you live with compassion, you are no longer ruled by reaction. You no longer act out of fear or pride. Instead, you act from understanding and love. You know that every word you speak, every action you take, is energy released into the universe, and that energy will return to you. So you choose to plant good seeds. You may ask, how can I live with compassion in such a harsh world? I will tell you this, the world is harsh because humanity has forgotten compassion. But if one person remembers, even one, the light begins to spread. Every act of understanding, every gentle word, every listening gaze carries the power to heal not only the one who receives it, but also you. Compassion begins with understanding yourself. You cannot open your heart to others while it remains a barren field of self-judgment. When you learn to forgive yourself, you will find it easier to forgive others. When you understand that mistakes are signs of unawareness, you no longer wish to punish. You wish to help them remember their own light. Remember, each time you choose to see others with loving eyes, you are walking with the sacred law in the act of creation. The universe does not move by empty prayers, but by mirrored actions of the law. When you live kindly, when you treat others gently, when you speak a word of sincere comfort, you are declaring to the universe, I am in the law, and the law is moving through me. If you live with compassion, you will notice something wondrous. Everything around you begins to change. Not because you try, but because your energy soothes the world. People will feel peaceful in your presence. They will listen more, open more, and you will see your gentleness is stronger than any shout. Many believe that intellect alone is enough, but I tell you, intellect without compassion is a double-edged sword. It may achieve success, but it will never know peace. Compassion is the gateway to true wisdom, for it allows you to see with the eyes of love rather than the eyes of the ego. When you practice compassion, you are training a silent spiritual discipline. You observe your emotions, you notice when the ego wants to judge, when the mind wants to retaliate, and in that moment, you pause, breathe deeply, and choose love instead of reaction. Each time you do, you strengthen your connection with the law. I want you to try something simple. Tomorrow, when you meet someone who irritates you, instead of reacting, say silently within, this person is learning as I am, this person too carries the light of life. You need not speak it aloud, only feel it truly. You will notice your heart soften, your energy lighten, and the atmosphere around you shift. That is the miracle of compassion, the miracle that happens in silence. I remind you again, compassion is not pity, it is resonance with the law of love. When you choose to see the world with understanding, you become a channel through which the law operates. You are no longer just an observer, you are a co-creator. And as you sustain this state long enough, you will witness a wonder. You no longer need to try to love. You become the embodiment of compassion. Every word you speak, every action you take, naturally carries healing energy. You walk through life as a messenger of peace. Now I want you to remember, each time you choose compassion over judgment, you are rewriting your destiny. For the law reflects precisely the energy you emit. Radiate love, for it is the only way to live in harmony with the sacred order. Let these words be engraved in your heart. When I choose compassion, I choose to live in union with the wisdom of the universe. Asterisk, asterisk, kindness. The tangible language of love in daily life. Asterisk, asterisk. Kindness is the most tangible expression of the law of love operating through humanity. It is the language the universal mind uses to communicate with the world. You can speak of love, you can meditate on compassion, but only when kindness becomes action does love truly take form. Kindness is the physical manifestation of the sacred law, the reaching hand of love that touches life every day. Many people think kindness is something simple, a small gesture that hardly matters. But I tell you, every act born from kindness carries a powerful creative energy. When you do good in silence without expecting reward, you send a pure signal into the universe. The subconscious records it, and that energy ripples through unseen layers. Those gentle vibrations always return to you, sometimes as an opportunity, sometimes as an unexpected blessing, sometimes simply as a strangely peaceful day. Kindness is not a weak emotion. It is the strength of a soul that has been refined. A kind person does good not out of fear, but out of understanding. They know that every thought, every word, every action creates a corresponding response in the flow of life, and they choose to send forth beautiful seeds. A truly strong person does not need to prove anything. They simply radiate kindness, because they know true power lies in the ability to sustain love amidst challenges. When you act with kindness, you are tuning yourself to the highest frequency of the universal mind. You become a channel through which the sacred law moves naturally. And the miracle is that you do not need to try hard. Every kind act, even the smallest, is recorded within the structure of the universe. Every gentle glance, every soft word, every moment you choose silence over reaction is your way of saying to the universal mind, I still remember the law. Kindness is the highest form of spiritual discipline. For there are times when you are tired, when people disappoint you, when life corners you, and yet you still choose gentleness over bitterness, understanding over blame, love over resentment. In that moment, you are proving the energy of the law in real life. When you can be kind in suffering, you have entered the higher maturity of the soul. I have met people who seemed ordinary, a mother caring for her sick child, a humble worker, a nurse in a poor hospital. They did not preach or speak philosophy, yet every act of theirs overflowed with kindness, and I saw in them a light few powerful people possess, the light of a soul in harmony with the law. Their kindness was a living prayer, a sermon without words. When you live with kindness, you no longer need to seek attention. You do not crave recognition, for you know the only witness is the sacred law. Trust that the universe never overlooks a single act of kindness. Just as water always finds its way to the sea, the love energy you send out will find its way back. You do not need to know how it returns, only that the law never fails. Kindness also holds a healing power. When you act kindly, your nervous system relaxes, your heartbeat steadies, your breath deepens, and your body begins to generate healthy energy. Many have healed illness simply by changing their way of living, moving from reaction to love. When you send out kindness, you do not only help others, you heal yourself. Kindness is also the reflection of faith. Those who do not believe in the sacred order often see kindness as useless. They think if they do not defend themselves, they will be hurt. But those who understand the law know that kindness does not make you weak, it protects you. Because when you live in the frequency of love, you attract all that resonates with it, peace, opportunities, and kindred souls. You may ask, where do I begin? Begin with the smallest things, a sincere thank you, a helping hand, a moment of true listening. Do not wait for the world to change before you are kind. Let your kindness be the cause of that change. The universe does not ask you to do great deeds, only to do them with love. And if ever you feel disappointed when your kindness is not returned, remember that the law never loses its effect. Maybe the other person did not receive it, but the universe did. The seed you plant today will bloom elsewhere at another time, and you will be the first to enjoy its fragrance. Kindness is how you tell the universe that you understand. You understand that everything is connected, that your small action can alter the greater flow. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that every beautiful thing in your life began with a kind act, a gentle choice, a loving thought. Let kindness become your breath. Do not be kind to be loved. Be kind because you are loved. Then your life will no longer be a chain of reactions, but a serene melody of the law of love singing itself through you. Asterisk, asterisk, the law of reflection. Adjust the light instead of cursing the mirror. Asterisk, asterisk. When you look at yourself in a mirror and feel displeased with the image you see, do you blame the mirror? You know that the mirror only reflects what stands before it. If you want a different image, you cannot break the mirror, you must change yourself. In the same way, the outer world is only a reflection of the inner state of your mind. Life does not punish anyone, it simply responds with precision to what you believe and project. Everything you encounter, people, situations, and circumstances, is a letter sent back to you by your subconscious, faithfully mirroring the beliefs rooted in your mind. If you carry fear, you will meet experiences that make that fear more visible. If you carry love, you will see love everywhere. This is the law of reflection of the mind, an absolute law that never misses a beat. Many people complain that their lives are full of problems, but life has no problems, only the reactions of a mind that does not yet understand the law. When you judge, you are seeing the unhealed part of yourself. When you are angry at someone, that person is reflecting the anger still trapped within you. And when you begin to understand this, every conflict becomes an opportunity to adjust the light. I often say that the outer world is a movie projected from the real within. The screen is not responsible for the story, it only shows what you have recorded. If you want a different film, you must change the reel. Likewise, if you wish to change your life, you must change the content of your mind. No prayer can replace this, for the Lord does not respond to words, but to the mental images and emotions you consistently maintain. If your life feels difficult, do not ask why this happens to you. Ask what within you is attracting this experience. This is not blame, it is the key to freedom, because if the cause is within, you have the power to change it. And when you change, the mirror of life changes with you. A person filled with resentment toward the world will always find new reasons to resent. A grateful person will always find new reasons to be grateful. This is how the law of mind reflects precisely the energy you emit. When you are filled with love, your subconscious creates situations, people, and opportunities of the same frequency to enter your life. When you are filled with worry, the subconscious faithfully produces matching experiences. It does not distinguish good from bad, it simply obeys the dominant pattern of your thought. Remember, the universe always says yes to you. If you believe life is suffering, the law will mirror more evidence of suffering. If you believe life is grace, the law will mirror more reasons to see grace. That is why I always teach, cleanse your mind before you pray. Because when your mind is clouded with doubt, prayer is only the echo of fear. But when your mind is clear, even a single loving thought can create a miracle. Each day, practice adjusting the light within. When you meet someone who upsets you, do not rush to judge. Ask yourself, what are they reflecting in me that needs healing? When you face adversity, ask, what is this lesson trying to show me about how I think? Then instead of blaming, shift your energy toward love. When the inner light changes, the outer image begins to transform. A person who understands the law no longer wastes energy fighting the world. They devote their time to keeping their inner light clear. They know that when there is peace within, the outside naturally aligns. They do not blame others or complain about life because they know everything they see is a reflection of themselves at a deeper level. I have witnessed many miracles happen simply because one person changed their perspective. A woman once came to me saying everyone around her seemed to hurt her. I told her, no one can hurt you unless the wound already exists within you. Heal inside and the world will change. 6 months later, she returned, radiant. She said, I do not know why, but people treat me differently now. I smiled because I knew the reason. She had adjusted the light. When you understand the law of reflection, you see life as a fair and compassionate mirror. It is neither biased nor judgmental. It only responds exactly to what you project. And when you change the light, the reflection changes. This is an unchanging truth. Today, if something around you makes you unhappy, do not curse the mirror. Turn inward and adjust the light. Plant gentle thoughts. Forgive yourself and radiate love outward. When you do, the world around you softens. Life will begin to mirror a new state, a brighter and more peaceful world, where you and the law move as one. Before we close, I want you to remember the world does not respond to what you say, it responds to what you believe. Believe in love, and the mirror of life will reflect that love back to you. If you are truly ready to live by this law, hold a silent commitment in your heart. I will adjust the light instead of cursing the mirror. And if you wish to strengthen that promise, write the number 1 somewhere as a sign to yourself that from this moment on, you will live with light adjusted, the light of love, of peace, of the sacred order within your mind. Asterisk, asterisk, the principle of non-bargaining. You cannot negotiate with gravity, nor with love. Asterisk, asterisk. There is one thing that everyone who understands the law of mind knows: the universe does not negotiate. You cannot ask gravity for a few seconds of grace when you step off a cliff, just as you cannot plead for the law of love to pause its operation simply because you are tired, hurt, or disappointed today. The law does not bend to human moods. It continues to operate with precision, constancy, and absolute fidelity to the quality of thought you hold within. Many people suffer because they try to bargain with the law. They live in resentment and then pray for peace. They plant seeds of fear and hope to harvest joy. They speak of love while holding judgment in their hearts. And when life mirrors that same energy back to them, they call the universe unfair. But the law is not unjust. The law simply responds as a mirror reflects light. The light you project is the image you receive. The law of love is not moved by complaints. It only responds to inner vibration. Prayer is not about what you say with your mouth, but about what you feel with your heart. If you pray for happiness while your heart is filled with doubt, the subconscious hears only the doubt, not the prayer. If you pray for peace while your heart is full of anger, you are sending out a signal of conflict, and the law will faithfully return that same frequency. Observe nature and learn. Gravity does not get angry, nor does it show mercy. It simply does its work. Drop a stone, it falls. Drop a feather, it falls too. The law of love works the same way. It does not favor one or punish another. It operates only according to the frequency you choose to maintain. When you live in love, you are aligned with the law. When you live in resentment, you step away from it. Many ask me, why do I do good and still suffer? I answer, because you do good out of fear, not out of love. If your goodness comes from the desire to be praised, rewarded, or safe, it is not on the same frequency as the law. True love has no condition. It is the natural expression of a mind that has realized there is only one life, one intelligence, one power moving through all. When you understand this, you no longer negotiate, you simply align. Look back at your life. There are times you have prayed for miracles, yet what you truly needed was inner adjustment. A miracle is not something that comes from outside. It is the natural result of being in the right position within the flow of the law. When you think, speak, and act in love, everything falls back into order. Health is restored, opportunities open, relationships heal. These are natural effects of harmony. If you wish for life to change, do not ask the law to be lenient. Obey the law. Do not wonder why an orange seed does not grow into grapes. Plant the right seed, and the law will handle the rest. When you live in love, the law multiplies that energy and returns it to you many times over. When you sow hatred, the law also multiplies and returns it in equal measure. The universe never errs. Only people forget how it works. A person who understands the law does not try to control circumstances, they adjust their consciousness. When your mind is anchored in love, the world around you rearranges itself. When you stop demanding others to change and begin to change yourself, every relationship begins to transform. You no longer need to beg anyone to love you because you are radiating love, and love always draws itself back. Understand that the law of love is not a moral commandment, but the structure of reality itself. Just as gravity keeps the planets from scattering, the law of love keeps minds and worlds from collapsing into chaos. When you live against the law, you are not punished, but you grow weary because you are swimming against the current of life. When you flow with it, you feel light, for the energy of the whole is carrying you. One who lives by the law does not need to force or plead. They only need to keep the mind still and act from love. When they speak, their words have power. When they touch something, it flows. When they enter a place, the air softens. Because they do not demand that the world serve them, they serve the law, and the law serves them. I want you to practice this daily. Before you speak or act, ask yourself, what energy am I sending out? If the answer is love, continue. If the answer is fear, pause, breathe deeply, and adjust the inner light. Each time you choose love over fear, you bring yourself back into the orbit of the law. Remember, the law does not bargain, but it always responds. It does not hear requests, it hears the frequency of the heart. When you are aligned with that frequency, you need not ask for anything. Life gives you what matches it. Before we close, I want you to tell yourself silently, I will not ask the law to change for me. I will change to align with the law. Repeat it until it becomes your breath. Then you will discover a simple but profound truth. Love is not a choice, it is the principle of life. When you live by that principle, you no longer need miracles. You are the miracle. Asterisk, asterisk, spiritual discipline. Choosing the law over impulse in every micro moment. Asterisk, asterisk. Someone once asked me, Dr. Murphy, how do I know if I'm truly living according to the law of love? I replied, you will know it at the very moment you are tested. When everything goes well, anyone can be gentle. But when someone offends you, when your plans collapse, when old wounds rise again, that is when you see the true energy of your being. Spiritual discipline is not about sitting in meditation for hours. It is the ability to choose the law instead of reaction in the brief seconds between stimulus and action. In that very moment, your destiny is shaped, because right when you are about to speak a harsh word, to respond in anger, or to stay silent in contempt, you can choose something different. You can choose the law of love. I want you to understand this. Your mind is not your enemy. It is only a neutral instrument that obeys every command you send it. If you continuously command through emotional impulse, the subconscious will produce matching experiences. But if you train yourself to send commands in awareness, the subconscious will reflect back peace and order. This is true discipline, the discipline of thought. Most people live as slaves to reaction. They think they are free, but they are driven by old memories and unhealed pain. When someone mentions the past, they contract. A careless word can ignite anger. They forget that no one can take away their peace unless they allow it. Spiritual discipline begins the moment you reclaim that power, the power to choose your response. Each time you feel impulsive, remember, you are not that emotion. You are the one observing it. Take a deep breath and say silently, I choose the law of love. This phrase is not just an affirmation. It is an energetic command. It resets your entire vibration, allowing the subconscious to realign itself with the right direction. The more you practice, the more natural this reflex becomes. Spiritual discipline does not suppress emotion. It transforms emotion into ordered energy. Anger ceases to be a fire that burns and becomes creative strength when you channel it through love. Sadness stops being a pit of despair and becomes a stream of understanding. Every emotion can be transformed when you place it under the light of the law. Observe those who are truly serene. They are neither cold nor indifferent. They feel deeply, yet they are not ruled by feelings. They are not swept away by emotional winds. They are like a sailor steering through waves, not resisting, not being carried away, but using the strength of the wave to move in the right direction. This is the image of spiritual discipline. Discipline is not tension. It is ultimate freedom. When you master your mind, you are no longer ruled by instinct. You no longer fear what others say, because you know your reaction is the seed of your future. A person with spiritual discipline does not need to prove anything. They simply radiate calm energy that invites others to realign. I want you to look back at your day. How many times did you react? How many times did you let someone's words control your emotions? Each time you did, you stepped out of your center. And each time you left that center, you moved out of the current of the law. But do not judge yourself. Awareness is the first step of discipline. Practice every morning before your day begins. Say silently, today I will choose the law. instead of reaction. This statement reprograms your entire nervous system. When a difficult situation arises, that affirmation will return like a gentle shield protecting you from old habits. And if you happen to react, do not be disappointed. Simply return. Remember, the law does not punish, it only responds. Each return strengthens your connection to it. Like muscle, spiritual strength is built through training, not through perfection. Spiritual discipline is also an act of self-respect, because when you keep your mind in order, you are telling the universe, I am worthy of peace. And the universe, as faithful as ever, will send back circumstances reflecting that quality, harmonious work, warmer relationships, balanced health. Understand this, every conflict in life is a test of the law, not to make you fail, but to remind you who holds the helm. You were not born to be ruled by emotion. You were born to rule emotion with the light of wisdom and love. Before we close, ask yourself one question. The last time I reacted, what within me was touched? Simply facing that question takes you halfway to liberation. The rest is practice. Practice choosing the law in every smallest moment. If you are hearing these words and feel a quiet movement inside, that is the voice of the soul remembering the sacred law. Hold on to that feeling, for it is the seed of discipline. And if you truly wish to affirm your commitment, keep this promise in your heart: I will choose the law even when the world chooses chaos. Or, if you wish to say it aloud, write the number 1, not for me, but for yourself. It is a declaration that from this day on you will live by the light of spiritual discipline, where every reaction is replaced by love and every moment becomes a chance to remember the law of love. Asterisk, asterisk, mental hygiene, clearing the dust of resentment to let love flow freely. Asterisk, asterisk. Your mind is like a sacred room where every thought, every emotion, and every memory leaves a trace. If you do not clean it often, the dust of resentment, pain, and worry will accumulate day by day until light can no longer enter. When that happens, you feel tired, blocked, as if the flow of life has been obstructed. But the current of the law of love never stops. Only the human mind blocks it with layers of the past. Every resentment, every judgment, every memory you have not forgiven is a speck of dust covering the mirror of your subconscious. The more you hold on, the more distorted the reflection becomes. And then you start seeing the world through that fogged glass, doubt instead of trust, judgment instead of love. When you think the world is against you, it is only your mind being clouded. I have met many people who live under a heavy weight without knowing why. They tell me they pray, they meditate, they repeat positive affirmations, yet nothing seems to change. I look at them and see the cause right away. They have not cleaned the room of their mind. You cannot pour clear water into a dirty glass. You cannot receive light with closed windows. The first step before praying, before dreaming, is to cleanse the mind. Spiritual dust does not arrive loudly. It settles quietly after every time you get angry and hold it in, after every moment you blame yourself, after every repeated negative thought. It is small, but persistent. Over time, it becomes a mist that separates you from life. You can no longer hear the voice of intuition or feel the natural love that has always been flowing in your heart. Take time each day to clean it. I call this the ritual of renewing the soul. No complex ceremony is needed. Only sit still, close your eyes, and whisper within, I release all resentment. I let go of painful memories. I allow love to flow freely through me. Repeat it as a prayer until you feel a gentle light spreading through your chest. That is the sign that the current has cleared. When you forgive, you do not do it for others. You are polishing your own mirror. Because when you hold anger, the negative energy does not live in them, it lives in you. It slows your breath, weighs your shoulders, dims your vision. When you release, you do not erase the past. You simply untie yourself from it. Forgiveness does not change what happened. It changes what it means inside you. I have said before that you cannot step into light while carrying the darkness of hatred. The law of love flows freely only in a clean space. Just as pure water cannot move through a clogged pipe, divine energy cannot flow through a mind full of resistance. Cleansing is not an emotional act. It is a spiritual principle. If you have ever been hurt, understand that no one can truly harm you unless you allow the wound to stay. A memory is just an image. It continues to hold power only when you feed it energy. Once you withdraw that energy, the memory loses its hold. You do not need to forget. You only need to stop feeding the past. This practice requires patience. The human mind tends to revisit old places where pain once lived, like fingers touching a scar to see if it is still there. But you cannot heal by reopening the wound. Let it close and direct your energy to the present, where the law of love waits to flow through you. The practice I often teach is breathing light. When you inhale, imagine drawing in the pure energy of love. When you exhale, release all sadness, resentment, and fatigue. See them leaving your body like smoke dissolving into air. Do this for a few minutes each day, and you will feel calm spreading through your being. This is not imagination, but the truth of energy. When you change your breath, you change your thought flow. Then, when your mind is clean, you will be amazed at how life begins to change. People who once irritated you will seem softer. Situations that felt stuck will open, not because they have changed, but because your frequency has. A clean mind is a bright mirror, and the world reflects that brightness. Remember, keeping your mind clean is keeping your channel to the source open. Spiritual dust cannot settle when you nurture love, gratitude, and forgiveness. Treat mental cleansing as a daily habit, like washing your body. Every night before you sleep, say, I thank this day. I release what is unfinished. Tomorrow I will begin with a clean heart. And if you are hearing these words, ask yourself, is there anyone I have not yet forgiven? Call their name silently and say, I release you. I choose peace. In just those few seconds, you have done something magnificent. You have reopened the flow of the law of love within you. Thank you for being here and listening. If these words touch you, say quietly in your heart or write down the number 1 as a sign that today you begin to clear the sacred room of your mind, allowing love to flow freely once again, like water returning to the sea. Asterisk, asterisk, the power of words. When you speak from the law, your words become creative. Commands, asterisk, asterisk. In every ancient wisdom, the spoken word has always been considered sacred. The ancients called it verbum, meaning the word made flesh, the word that became life. In the scriptures it is written, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is not merely a religious metaphor, but a spiritual law. Everything in human life begins with a word, or more precisely, a vibration released from the mind. Every time you speak, you are issuing a command to the subconscious. Every word spoken with emotion goes straight into the deeper layers of the mind and becomes a creative order. You may say, I cannot do it, and the subconscious will faithfully obey, arranging circumstances to prove you right. You may say, I am capable, and the law of mind immediately begins to organize life to reflect that truth. Your words are seeds, and your life is the field where they grow. Many people underestimate their words. They speak unconsciously. I am tired. I am unlucky. Life is terrible. And then they wonder why their reality keeps repeating those very statements. They do not realize that the universe does not joke. It only listens and responds precisely to the vibration sent out. When you say, I am unworthy, the subconscious does not analyze, it simply agrees. Yes, you are unworthy, and arranges everything accordingly. Every word you speak carries an electromagnetic frequency. Science has proven that sound creates form, and likewise your words shape the energetic structure of the world around you. When you speak with love, you weave a harmonious field of energy. When you speak in anger, you create waves of destruction. Never take your words lightly. They are invisible seeds that shape the reality you inhabit. Begin practicing the discipline of speech. Before you speak, ask yourself, does this word come from the law of love or from fear? If it carries loving energy, speak it, for it will plant peace. If it carries judgment or bitterness, hold it back, for it is a poisonous seed. The wise never waste words. They know that every sound released is a current of energy sent into the universe. Words are also instruments of healing. When you say, I forgive, you open the door for trapped energy to be released. When you say, I love you, you alter the magnetic field between you and another. When you say, I thank you, you raise your vibration to a higher plane where the law of love flows easily. And when you say, I am light, I am peace, I am love, you are affirming the true nature of your soul. Words do not only move outward, they echo inward. Every word you speak is a command sent into the subconscious, and the subconscious, like fertile soil, always produces fruit, matching the seed. When you say, I am healing, the body responds. When you say, I am growing, the mind aligns with learning. When you say, I am loved, the people around you begin to reflect that belief. See your words as creative tools. Each morning, instead of complaining, begin your day with affirmations. Whisper within, today love guides me. Peace is within me. Everything I touch turns to good. Repeat it until a warm current flows through your body. In that moment, you have aligned your mind with the orbit of the law of love. But remember, words have no power without emotion. You may repeat, I am happy 100 times. But if fear fills your heart, the subconscious still hears the fear. Speak with feeling. Let each word rise from the depth of your heart. Then words cease to be mere sounds. They become living energy that moves, shapes, and transforms reality. Practice conscious silence. Spend a few minutes each day observing your speech, listening to how you talk to yourself. You will notice that most of the time you speak inwardly with negativity without even knowing it. When you change that inner conversation, your outer world changes too, for life only mirrors the way you speak to yourself. Try this now. Place your hand on your heart and say slowly, I speak what I wish to see. I plant words with love, and I harvest peace. Feel the energy of that statement spreading through you. Imagine every word you will speak today as a particle of light. Each time it touches someone, it brings warmth and understanding. Before we end, I want to ask you, how many words today have made someone lighter, and how many have made someone heavier? Let that question be a mirror for your soul. And if you realize that you could speak less but love more, be grateful, for awareness has awakened. Thank you for listening. If these words touch you, whisper within, I will let my words become light. Or leave a sign, just the number 1, as a quiet commitment that from this day on you will speak from the law, speak from love, and let your words become the creative commands of the universal mind. Asterisk, asterisk, the art of letting go. When you stop holding tight, the law begins to work. Asterisk, asterisk. There is a paradox few understand on the spiritual path. The more you try to control, the more you lose your power. But when you let go, you are guided. Many people pray without receiving an answer, not because the universe does not listen, but because they do not know how to release. They pray with worry, with fear, with attachment to outcome. They say, I believe, yet within they whisper, what if it does not happen? That very energy blocks the flow of the law of love. The law of love can only operate in an open and relaxed mind. You cannot believe and doubt at the same time. You cannot say you surrender while still trying to control every detail. When you try to control, you act from fear, but when you let go, you act from faith. And in this universe, only true faith activates the law. Imagine holding water in your hands. The tighter you grasp, the more it slips away. Only when you open your palms can the water rest there. Likewise, the good things in life come not when you cling to them, but when you release them with complete trust. Letting go is not losing. It is allowing the flow of life to do its work. Someone once told me, but Dr. Murphy, I try to let go and still feel restless. I smiled and said, if you are still trying, you have not truly let go. Letting go is not effort. It is the deep knowing that everything is already perfect according to the law. You do not need to know how, you only need to know that the law is working. When you worry, you send out a signal of lack. When you trust, you send out a signal of fullness. The universe does not react to words, it reacts to vibration. So if you wish to change results, do not struggle with force. Change the frequency of your faith. When you believe that everything is unfolding for the highest good, you enter the current of flow, and within that flow, miracles begin. Letting go does not mean passivity or indifference. It is the active expression of faith. You still do your part, you plant the seed, care for the soil, water it, but you do not force the seed to sprout. You know it will grow in its right time. When you understand this, you live more naturally, with less tension, and your energy becomes clear and pure. In the psychology of the subconscious, what you cling to is often what you fear losing, and what you fear losing keeps you trapped in the vibration of lack. When you release, you are telling your subconscious, I have enough, I trust. From that point, new energy begins to move, opening doors you could not open through effort. I have witnessed hundreds of miracles that began when people learned to let go. A woman once came to me, praying for months to save her marriage, yet the more she prayed, the more distant her husband became. I told her, stop asking, begin thanking as if the miracle has already come. She did, and within weeks everything changed. Not because she made him change, but because she changed her energy. When she stopped grasping, love began to flow again. Letting go also means stepping out of the role of controller and returning to the role of co-creator. You are not the God of others. You are the vessel through which divine power moves. When you release, you allow universal intelligence to arrange all things in perfect order. What truly belongs to you will remain. What has completed its purpose will gently leave. I know letting go is not easy. The ego wants control, believing that without it everything will fall apart. But the soul knows that when you release, everything falls into place. Letting go is the act of a mature soul, one who trusts that the law never errs. If you are holding on to a fear, a person, or an outcome, try this. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, and say within, I hand this over to the law of love. I trust that all things are unfolding for the highest good. Then stop there. Do not rush to seek proof. Just trust. You will notice the layers of worry dissolving like mist under sunlight. You will know you have truly let go when your heart feels light, when you no longer need a result to feel at peace, when you can say, whatever happens, I am still at peace. That is the sign you are living in the law. And it is at that very moment that the best things begin to appear, gently, naturally, without effort. Before we close, ask yourself, what am I holding on to that keeps me from peace? It may be a relationship, a dream, or an image of yourself. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, imagine releasing it from your energetic hands. Feel the relief entering your being. That is the miracle of letting go. If this message touches you, keep this affirmation in your heart. I trust the law of love. I do not need to hold on, for all things are already perfect. And if you wish to leave a sign, write the number 1 as a promise that from today you choose trust over control, release over fear, allowing the law of love to move freely through your life. Asterisk, asterisk, wisdom in adversity. When challenges become the classroom of the soul, asterisk, asterisk. No one can escape adversity. Whoever you are, wherever you live, no matter your circumstances, there will come moments of pain, disappointment, loss, or the feeling that the whole world is against you. But I tell you this, adversity does not come to destroy you. It comes to remind you of the law. It is the classroom of the soul, where you are trained to recognize your true power. When everything in life goes smoothly, you easily forget who you are. You live by habit, thinking you are in control. But only when challenges arise, when things collapse, when what you cling to no longer works, do you begin to look within and realize that your true strength lies not outside but within the mind. That is the moment when the soul begins to mature. Adversity is not punishment, it is an invitation. It invites you to pause, to listen, to relearn the lesson long forgotten, that you are not the victim of life, you are the creator. Every circumstance appears to help you train your energy. When you respond with fear, you create more suffering. When you respond with peace and love, you complete the lesson and rise to a higher level of awareness. I have seen many pray to God to take away their trials, but God does not remove the fire, He gives you the strength to walk through it. If He took away every difficulty, your soul would remain weak and never grow. Like the blacksmith, God does not destroy the iron, He heats it, strikes it, and forges it into a sword. The fire and the hammer are not enemies, they are instruments of perfection. When you understand this, you begin to look at adversity with different eyes. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is this trying to teach me? That question shifts you from victim to creator. And in the instant you change your attitude, the law of love begins to work. It transforms fear into wisdom, pain into growth, loss into awakening. Someone once came to me saying they were betrayed, they lost everything and felt that God had abandoned them. I said, no, in this very moment God is closest to you. He has not left you in the fire, He stands in the fire with you. For when your mind is tested, that is when you have the chance to recognize the presence of the law that has always been there, waiting for you to see it. Look at the great ones throughout history. None reached their height without passing through nights of the soul. Adversity made them humble. It made them listen within. And it revealed that true power lies not in circumstance, but in the response of the mind to circumstance. The law of love never promises that you will not face difficulty, but it promises that if you keep faith, every difficulty will become a stepping stone. When you learn to see adversity through the eyes of love, you turn pain into your teacher. Every wound becomes a doorway to new light. Every loss becomes an invitation to release the old and make space for the higher. If you are in hardship now, remember this is not a sign of failure, but a signal of evolution. The universe is expanding you, asking you to trust more, to love more, to release more. The pressure you feel is simply the natural reaction of spiritual growth. Just as the seed must crack before it becomes a tree, you too must break the old shell to rise into new awareness. Do not fight adversity, for when you fight it, you feed it. Look directly at it, breathe deeply, and say, I know you are here to teach me something. In that single act, the energy shifts. And once the energy shifts, the situation begins to change. The law never fails. It always mirrors your inner state with precision. Understand that at every moment, you have two ways to learn, through love or through pain. When you choose to learn through love, through gratitude, forgiveness, and trust, you no longer need heavy trials. But if you forget, life will use challenge to remind you. Both paths lead to the same place, returning to the law of love. Try this practice when a problem arises. Instead of asking why, take a deep breath and say, I am ready to learn. Just those 4 words, I am ready to learn, open an entirely new field of energy within you. You will feel lighter, clearer, and strangely enough, the moment you are willing to learn, the problem begins to dissolve. Before we close, I ask you this. What lesson of the soul are you resisting? It may be a difficult person, a loss, or a closed door. Look at it through the eyes of the law and say, I know you have come to teach me something, I thank you. In that gratitude, you have already passed the lesson. And if you are hearing these words now, pause for a moment, place your hand over your heart, and whisper, I trust that every challenge in my life is the classroom of my soul, and I am learning through love. If you feel ready, leave a simple sign, just the number 1, as a declaration that from this day forward, you no longer fear adversity, for you know that even in the fire, the law of love is forging you into light. Asterisk, asterisk, the power of gratitude. When thankfulness becomes the language of miracles, asterisk, asterisk. If there is one single frequency that can transform your entire life in an instant, it is gratitude. Gratitude is not a polite phrase after receiving something. It is the highest vibration of the mind, the way you tell the universe, I see that the law is working in my life. And when you remain in that frequency, the law of love responds by bringing you even more to be thankful for. Many believe they will be grateful once things go well, but I tell you, It is when you are grateful in the midst of adversity that miracles begin. When you can say thank you even before you see results, you have entered true faith, the kind of faith that sets the law in motion without error. The subconscious does not understand the words "I will be grateful when I receive." It only understands the energy I already have. And when you live in that energy, you become a magnet of grace. Gratitude is the key that opens the door between the visible and the invisible. When you give thanks, you shift from the vibration of lack to the vibration of abundance. Lack says, "I do not have." Gratitude says, "I am receiving." And the law of mind can only multiply what you are receiving. So when you are grateful, you multiply blessings. I once met a man who came to me in despair. He had lost his job, his wife had left, and he said life had nothing left for him. I told him, tomorrow morning, wake up and write down 10 things you can be thankful for, no matter how small. He said there was nothing, but I said, you are still breathing, there is still light. You still have a mind to think. He followed the advice reluctantly, but after a week he returned, his eyes different. He said, I feel lighter, and strangely, I just got a new job. I smiled, because the law cannot resist the energy of gratitude. When you are grateful, you do not just change your mood, you change the field of energy around you. The frequency of gratitude perfectly aligns with the frequency of love, peace, and prosperity. It is like tuning the radio of your mind to the right channel, and instantly the music of the universe begins to play. You do not create miracles, you simply adjust so that miracles can find you. Try this each morning when you wake up. Before touching your phone, whisper 3 thank yous. Thank you for waking up, for breathing, for another chance to love. These words may seem small, but they set the energy for your entire day. Your mind will begin to look for reasons to be grateful, and by the law of attraction, you will draw more reasons to be thankful. Gratitude is also the medicine that heals all wounds. You cannot be grateful and angry at the same time. You cannot give thanks and be afraid at once. When you say thank you, negative energy dissolves instantly, just as darkness disappears when light appears. Gratitude does not deny pain, but it places pain in its rightful place as part of a greater journey. If you are facing difficulty, try this. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, ask, what can I be thankful for in this situation? That single question redirects all your energy. You start to see small rays of light through the thick clouds, and those rays open the path ahead. No adversity can stand before a grateful heart. Understand that gratitude is the language of the soul. When you say thank you, you are not only speaking to the universe, you are speaking to the divine within yourself. You affirm that you trust, that you already have, that the law of love is guiding you. When you hold this energy, all worry fades, because you no longer wait for blessings to come. You are living in grace already. Look back at what you once called losses. Perhaps they were gifts in disguise. Someone leaving may have cleared the way for someone better to enter. A closed door may have protected you from a wrong path. A failure may have made you pause long enough to hear your inner voice. When you can thank even for that, you have learned a great lesson of the soul. Gratitude needs no reason. It is the natural state of one who lives in the law. You are not grateful because you are blessed. You are blessed because you are grateful. When you understand this, life becomes a continuous flow of miracles. Do this now. Place your hand on your heart and say slowly, thank you for my life. Thank you for love. Thank you for the law of love working in me. Feel that energy spreading through your body. That is the sound of the universe resonating with your soul. And now I ask you, what can you thank for at this very moment, no matter how small? Perhaps the wind, the light, or the breath you are taking. Pause and say thank you. And if your heart feels open, leave a sign, just the number 1, as a declaration that from today you choose to live in gratitude, to speak the language of miracles, and to let every thank you become the song of the law of love in your life. Asterisk, asterisk, the power of faith. To believe is to see the unseen. Asterisk, asterisk. There are things you can only see when you believe before seeing. Every great achievement of humanity, every spiritual miracle, Every healing journey begins from an invisible seed called faith. Not blind faith, but a deep awareness that within the subconscious, what you affirm through belief has already begun to take form. When you believe, you allow the law of love to operate without resistance. When you doubt, you build a wall between yourself and the miracle. The law rejects no one, but it cannot flow through a fearful mind. Fear distorts the signal, while faith aligns the energy. That is why Jesus said, "Believe, and you shall receive." He did not say ask, he said believe, for faith itself is the deepest prayer. Faith is not an emotion you create, but a state you live in. It is the knowing that all good already exists in the invisible realm and only waits for you to open to receive it. Your subconscious does not distinguish between real and imagined. It only reflects the belief you hold. If you believe in illness, you strengthen it. If you believe in health, you call it forth. If you believe you are unworthy, life will keep proving you right. But if you believe you are loved, protected, and guided, the universe will arrange itself to mirror that belief. Each time you affirm something with complete conviction, you are writing upon the tablet of your subconscious. What you write, though unseen today, will soon appear in your life. This is the law of correspondence of the mind. The outer world is nothing but the result of the inner belief. Someone once told me, "I will believe it when I see it." I replied, "If you only believe after you see, then it is no longer faith. Faith is seeing with the eyes of the soul, not with the eyes of the flesh. The physical eyes see the past, but the soul's eyes see the future unfolding. When you believe, you are not waiting for a miracle. You become the channel through which the miracle flows. True faith does not waver. It does not rise and fall with circumstance. It is like the roots of a tree in the storm. The wind may shake the branches, but the roots remain firm in the soil. One who truly believes says, "I do not need to know how. I only know the law is working." And they rest in that knowing. They do not beg, they do not fear, they live in calm assurance. That state of certainty is the strongest energy in the universe. Faith does not demand evidence, for faith itself is the evidence. When you feel peace about what has not yet happened, that is the sign you have entered the orbit of the law. You have agreed to let the good manifest. Then naturally circumstances, people, and opportunities appear not by force but through the pull of matching energy. If you wish to strengthen faith, begin by observing your words and thoughts. Each time you say, "I cannot," you reinforce a false belief. Replace it with, "I am learning to do this." When you say, "Nobody loves me," change it to, "I am opening to love." Every word you speak is a seed of belief. Sow good seeds, and you will reap good results. Remember, faith need not be grand. Even a grain as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. This means that if you dare to believe fully for even 1 second, the power of the law can redirect your entire life. The issue is not how much you believe, but how long you hold the belief. Faith is not a gust of wind that passes, but a quiet flame that endures in stillness. Someone once asked me, "How can I believe when everything around me contradicts what I hope for?" I said, "Do not look with your eyes, look with your heart. Imagine what you desire as if it already exists. When you feel it strongly enough, the subconscious will accept it as true. And once the subconscious believes, the law will cause the outer world to adjust and match that inner picture. Practice faith daily through imagination and feeling. Before you sleep, picture your desired scene as already real. See yourself living it. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the peace. When you do this with genuine emotion, the subconscious begins to accept that image as reality. The outer world then becomes only the reflection of what you have believed. If you find yourself doubting, do not blame yourself. Doubt is only the shadow of a young faith. Look at it with love and gently return to the affirmation, "I trust that the law of love is guiding me." Repeat it until it becomes your breath. Understand that faith is the lamp that lights your way in the dark. You do not need to see the whole path, only enough light for the next step. Each step taken in faith makes the path brighter. When you hold that lamp, you never lose your way. Before we close, ask yourself, what do I truly believe about life? For belief, whether conscious or not, is shaping your reality. Choose the beliefs that carry the energy of love, hope, and abundance. Let your faith be the silent affirmation that the law of love is real and working through your every breath. And if you wish to affirm this truth, whisper to yourself, I believe, for I know the law never fails. Or leave a sign, just the number 1, as a promise that from today you will see through the eyes of faith, believing in what is unseen until it takes form in the light of love. Asterisk, asterisk, the presence of the listener. When a question opens the door of communion between two souls, asterisk, asterisk. Every word I speak here only truly lives when your heart is listening, for only in listening can the energy of the law of love be fully transmitted. Between the speaker and the listener there is no distance, only a flow of awareness, like two rivers meeting in the same ocean. When you listen with the heart, not with the ears, you open the door for your soul to converse with the inner light. Understand this, your presence is the creative energy itself. When you are truly present, without judgment, without distraction, without haste, you become an empty cup into which the universe can pour. The words you hear then are no longer language but frequency. They pass through the ear, yet reach the soul, and your soul understands even what the mind cannot yet express. I once said that those who listen with the heart can even hear silence, for the Lord does not only speak through words, but through the stillness between them. In that stillness, the vibration of truth resonates, subtle yet unmistakable. If you are truly present, you will feel something moving within you, a softening, an awakening, a quiet knowing that whispers, I have always known this, I am only remembering. Listening itself is a form of prayer. When you listen, you are saying to the universe, I am ready to receive, and the law can only give to those who open to receive. Remember, prayer is not only speaking, sometimes prayer is being silent enough to hear. Amid the noise of life, those who pause to listen are those most deeply connected to the source of divine wisdom. In this moment, I ask you, are you truly listening to yourself? Not the noise of fear, not the voice of doubt, but the gentler voice beneath them, the voice of the soul that always says, I am here, I have never left you. When you hear that voice, you have touched the foundation of the law. When you listen with the heart, everything changes. The things that once hurt you begin to lose their power. The people who once angered you become mirrors of your lessons. You start to see that nothing is separate, that every soul is learning and walking together. In that awareness, you do not just hear another person, you hear the divine speaking through them. A true listener does not interrupt, does not prepare replies. They simply open a space within so what they hear can live fully. In that silence of acceptance, all resistance dissolves. Have you noticed that when you listen to someone with love, they begin to heal on their own? That is the power of presence. Each time you listen with sincerity, you are practicing the law of love in its purest form. You are saying to another, I see you, I honor you, I allow you to be. And within that energy, something sacred happens. The other opens, feels safe, dares to speak, dares to be real. That is how you spread the law without teaching a single word. Listening is also the doorway to understanding. When you listen deeply, you no longer need to argue, because you realize that behind every word and action there is always a pain wanting to be understood. And when you understand, you cannot judge, you can only love. Try this. Whenever someone speaks, instead of preparing your reply, take a deep breath and whisper inwardly, I listen through the law of love. Your heart will open, your energy will soften and stabilize. You will realize that you are not only hearing the person, you are hearing life itself speaking through them. And now I ask you, are you truly present in this moment? Are you hearing each word as if it were a message meant only for you? If so, then you have already grasped what words cannot express. That truth becomes power only when you are present enough to receive it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. If you feel a stirring within, a quiet warmth, that is the energy of the law responding to you, keep this presence. And if you wish to affirm that you are truly listening with your soul, leave a sign, just the number 1, as a gesture of gratitude and acknowledgement that you are walking with me in the light of listening, where two souls meet in the stillness of the law of love. Asterisk, asterisk, becoming a channel of the law. when you no longer just learn, but radiate love, asterisk, asterisk, there comes a point in every spiritual journey when a person no longer seeks light only for themselves. They begin to become the light itself. That is when you no longer simply study the law of love or practice it, but live and radiate it. You become a channel, not a full container, but a flowing stream, and when you flow, you never run dry. I have often said that the law of love is not only a principle of healing, it is the living current moving through all of us. It wants to be expressed, shared, and diffused through every word, gesture, and thought you release each day. When you live in the law, you become its instrument, a pure channel through which love can move. When you truly understand the law, you realize that everything you do, no matter how small, is a chance to shine. A gentle word to the server, a kind glance to a stranger, a moment of patience when someone errs, all of these are acts of one who lives in the law. You do not need to preach. You do not need to teach. Your presence itself becomes the sermon. You become a channel of the law when you stop thinking you must give from your own supply. You do not give from the self. You simply let the law give through you. A river does not possess the water it carries. It is merely the path through which water flows, and because of that, it never runs out. When you let love flow through you, you lose nothing. You only increase your capacity to receive. Some fear that giving too much will exhaust them, but exhaustion comes only when you give from the ego, not from the source. When you act with an open heart, your energy is renewed endlessly. You are not drained, you are replenished. One who lives in the law never tires, for they are not doing the work. The law is working through them. Understand this, spreading love does not always mean being soft. It means being true. Sometimes love is firm without cruelty, setting boundaries without hatred, seeing mistakes with the intention to heal rather than to condemn. When you live this way, you become a mirror of intelligent love. And the miracle is, when you act as a channel for the law, the environment around you begins to shift. Wherever you go, the air feels lighter. People feel peace near you without knowing why. They simply sense your energy, the vibration of acceptance, stillness, and non-judgment. You do not need to prove anything. Your presence alone is proof that the law is at work. Let love flow through you without selection. Do not send it only to those you like. Send it to those who challenge you. Because when you do, you are not only helping them, you are freeing yourself from the boundaries of ego. One who gives without distinction is one who truly lives in the law. You can begin each day with a simple affirmation, "Today I let love flow through me to everyone I meet." This sentence opens the valve of energy. Throughout the day, you will notice that everything feels lighter, smoother, because you are in alignment with the flow of the law. You no longer strive to be good. You simply become good naturally. Someone once asked me, "How do I know if I am truly a channel of the law?" I replied, "When you feel peace in chaos, when you look at others with compassion instead of judgment, when you choose love instead of reaction, that is the sign. Not fame, not knowledge, but the depth of peace in your heart is the measure of how strongly the law flows through you. If you ever feel depleted, stop, be still, and whisper, 'Law of love, please flow through me.' Then just breathe. You will feel a soft warmth rising in your chest, like a stream beginning to move again. That is not imagination, that is the energy of the law being restored. When you become a channel, you are the first to be healed. Every word you speak to uplift another will echo back to strengthen you. Every loving energy you send out will return doubled. The law is perfectly just, and for that reason, one who lives to spread love can never be in lack. Before we close, I ask you today, are you letting love flow through you? Are you opening yourself to be the instrument of the law, or are you still trying to control its flow with fear and judgment? The answer need not be spoken, only felt. And if within you there is a whisper saying, "Yes, I am ready," then the flow has already begun. If these words resonate with you, leave a sign, just the number 1, as a declaration that from today you will not only study the law, but live it, breathe it, and radiate it, so that every breath becomes the heartbeat of love in this universe. Asterisk, asterisk, merging with the law. when you and love become one, asterisk, asterisk, there comes a moment in the soul's journey when you no longer seek the law, for then you realize that you are the law. You no longer ask, how do I live in love? For you have become love itself. All boundaries between you and the source dissolve. There is no longer a seeker and a teaching, no longer one who prays and one who grants. There is only a single current of pure awareness flowing through you and through all that exists. This is the stage of union, where you stop calling it the law, or God, or energy, because every name becomes unnecessary. You no longer need to define, you simply exist. And within that existence, miracles happen as naturally as breathing. You no longer try to love, you are love. You no longer need to learn to trust, you are faith itself. To merge with the law is not to become a superhuman being, but to return to your original essence, the natural state of peace and clarity. In that state, there is no separation between inner and outer, between good and bad, between gain and loss. Everything simply appears as expressions of the same living force, the energy of life itself. When you reach this point, the world looks the same, but you are no longer the same. You walk among the noise of life, yet remain untouched by it. You look at others and no longer see them as others, but as extensions of yourself. Their pain is the echo of lessons you have once learned. You see every soul with deep compassion, free from judgment or division. Merging does not mean you disappear. It means the ego softens and space opens wider within. You still work, speak, laugh, and love, but within each small act there is a deep stillness like a lake reflecting the sky. Nothing can disturb you, because you know that every movement happens within the stillness of the law. At this stage, you no longer pray with words, but with being itself. Every breath becomes a prayer of gratitude, every step an affirmation, every glance a blessing. You no longer ask for anything, because you know all has already been given. You no longer believe, because you see. You no longer seek, because you are. One who has merged with the law is not perfect, but completely authentic. They do not hide emotions, yet emotions no longer rule them. They do not conceal their wounds, yet their wounds shine as symbols of healing. They need not prove anything, for their presence itself is proof. When they speak, their words carry the frequency of truth. When they are silent, that silence radiates peace. If you ask me, how can I reach this state? I will tell you, you do not reach it. You simply stop resisting. Union is not climbing to a higher peak, but falling back into your own center. The moment you stop seeking outside, you hear the gentle voice within saying, I have always been here. And in that instant, you realize the journey was never about going far, but about coming home. When you live in oneness, fear dissolves, not because challenges vanish, but because you know nothing can separate you from the law. You watch events rise and fall like waves upon the ocean, knowing that no wave, however large, can harm the sea. You stop clinging to happiness and stop fearing pain, because you understand that both are movements of the same light. Feel this now, even as you read these words, you are already within the law. You do not need to attain it. You only need to realize it has never left you. When you let go of striving and allow stillness to fill you, you will sense the heartbeat of the universe aligning with your own. That is when you and the law become one. Try this simple practice. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and as you exhale, whisper softly, I am the law of love, living in human form. Repeat it until you no longer feel like the one speaking, but as if the law itself is speaking through you. Feel the energy spreading outward, touching every soul around you. That is union. Before we close, I ask you, are you living as part of the law, or are you still standing outside observing it? The answer needs no words, only awareness. For if your heart is open, you are already within the law. And if these words touch something deep within you, leave a sign, just the number 1, as a final affirmation that you and the law are one, that you are no longer seeking, you have returned, and you are love itself moving through human form.